Chapter 1. Excuses change nothing, but make everyone feel better. Mason Cooley. Where should the line be drawn between an individual's own responsibility to take care of herself and society's responsibility to ensure that others shield her? What do you think these words could be referring to? What evil does the questioner suggest is lurking out there that society needs to come to grips with so that you and I will be safe? Nuclear war? Well, I agree. A society should place the responsibility on its own shoulders to protect us all from nuclear holocaust. How about serial killers? Well, that's another good guess. The FBI spends a lot of time and resources taking responsibility for making sure that you are safe from the Hannibal Lecters of the world. What about an outbreak of bird flu, E. coli, or some other deadly disease? Right again, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control has your back covered. So which of these mortal dangers was the opening quote referring to when it asked where society should step in and make sure that you are okay? The answer? None. Guess what the culprit was that spawned this quote? I'll give you a hint. The quote comes from a ruling by a United States federal judge. Still wondering? The perpetrator so dangerous that protection from it may require the collective power of our entire society is a McDonald's hamburger. Now just think. It took a judge in the United States federal court to figure out the answer to that question. Why? Because two girls were overweight and claimed that McDonald's was responsible for their eating habits. The attorney for the plaintiffs argued that McDonald's food was, quote, physically or psychologically addictive. From that perspective, these poor girls just didn't have a chance. The Golden Arches reached out and grabbed them, pulled them in, and force-fed them, so to speak. But common sense, and as we shall argue, the created order, prevailed. Part of the judge's opinion held that, quote, if consumers know, or reasonably should know, the potential ill health effects of eating at McDonald's, they cannot blame McDonald's if they, nonetheless, choose to satiate their appetite with a surfeit of supersized McDonald's products, end quote. Thank you, Judge, for bringing some sanity to this picture. But it begs a bigger question. How did we get to the place where someone would even think that they could sue a hamburger chain for their weight problem? Was it the permissive 60s that did away with personal responsibility in our culture? Was it humanism that said humanity is basically good and it's our poor environment that causes us to make mistakes? Was it permissive parenting that taught an entire generation to think that nothing is its responsibility? Nothing bad that happens is ever my fault? Was it the psychologists who said that to discipline a child might hurt his self-esteem? Or was it all those hamburgers we ate that just made us think this way? Actually, as much as we like to talk about how far society has gone astray, and there's some truth to that, blaming others is not a new problem created by 21st century America. Though we do seem to have perfected blame as a cultural and legal art form, it's not a modern phenomenon. In fact, it has been part of human nature from the beginning of time. When God asked Adam the equivalent of, why did you eat the hamburger? In Adam's case, the forbidden fruit, Adam quickly blamed his wife. The man said, the woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it. Genesis 3:12. When God asked Eve about the issue, she offloaded responsibility in a similar fashion. Then the Lord God said to the woman, what is this you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate. Genesis 3:13. All Adam needed was an attorney, and he could have sued God, Eve, and the serpent. Or maybe they could have bonded together and filed the first class action suit. But the truth is that there's a fundamental problem with human nature, as philosophers, psychologists, and theologians have noted for centuries. The problem is simply this. We fail to take responsibility for our own lives. We shift the blame and the responsibility to others. We all do it. It is just a part of who we are, and it has been that way from day one. We did not learn it from our environment, although our environment can augment it. Instead, we bring it into the world as a tendency that comes with being human. Now, certainly we have reasons why we don't take ownership for our behavior and lives. Adam and Eve did it in part because they were ashamed and afraid. Those are big reasons for us as well.